What are some best responses to "Why are you so quiet?" No response is the best response. I was raised by abusive librarians. Seems like you've been through a series of unfortunate events. I have trouble controlling the volume of my voice. You can see me? I usually only say one line per episode. To quote an answer to a similar question, very rarely do you get in trouble for saying nothing. Respond in sign language because I don't have a voice box. I only speak when I have something to say. What are you in the 1% of? If I shake my head in a certain way, I can give myself an orgasm. Never met anyone who can do that. Survived flesh-eating bacteria in the bloodstream after sepsis. Most people die within 3 days. I can stop my hiccups on command. I'm of the 0.002% of people with osteoporosis. This freaked the shit out of me because when I was diagnosed the first thing the doctor said was, "Wow, I've never seen this in anything but textbooks before." Basically, I have bones growing inside my bones. It's not anything I should be worried about, at least for a while, so that's nice. I've been in 2 helicopter crashes and 1 plane crash. There is only a small group of people who have survived that many crashes. I'm also not a pilot. Explains why you crashed so many times. What's the biggest red flag you've seen on a first date? A wedding ring. No joke. She forgot to take it off. He took my phone off of me, and when I wouldn't give him the passcode I had to physically wrestle it off of him. First date. I wish I was joking. He tried to correct me on the pronunciation of my own last name. For me, it was when she mentioned that she was not single but did, in fact, have a husband, but it is okay because he has been in jail for about 5 years and will not be released for at least 6 months. Canceling the date to go out on a date with someone else. To the same location. What was your Thanksgiving drama this year? My grandpa, who has dementia, asked why there was cranberry sauce on his pants and if my mother could clean it up. No one made anything with cranberries. He was bleeding from his penis. To the hospital we went, and he had a massive kidney stone he was trying to push out stuck halfway in his urethra, which also, as you guessed, tore it up and made him bleed via urethral rupture. My 21-year-old sister will graduate from college in less than a month. My brother congratulated her on being the first person in our family to graduate college without getting pregnant. Turns out that's not true. She started sobbing and got in her car and drove away. Whoops. Our family uncle crushed one of the kids at air hockey, made the kid cry, and posted about it on Reddit. I'm the uncle. What's a really fucked up thing you've witnessed as a kid but didn't realize it was until you were older? My mom had to work when I was little and my older sisters were in school. I was locked in the bathroom during the day until my sisters came home from school and let me out. Sometimes they wouldn't let me out, so they didn't have to watch me. They were 7 and 9 years older than me, and I was somewhat afraid of them because they were not very nice to me, so I would often stay in the bathroom or hide in the hamper. It does explain why I'm perfectly okay to be alone. My mom used to sleep with dudes while I was in the same bed as her. Never really clicked until I got older. Let's say my therapist isn't a fan of my mother at all. To everyone replying with a similar situation, if you haven't sought out therapy, please do if it bothers you. It is not your fault, you did not do anything wrong, and you do matter. I know how it can make it feel like all of that is untrue though. In 5 words, why did your first relationship end? No shared interests, only chlamydia. He stabbed me while sleeping. The trash took itself out. He faked a suicide death. Summer camp was eventually over. Liked drugs more than me. We grew apart after kindergarten. There was just too much differences. She liked the color red, and I liked blue. What's the smallest hill you'll die on? Tax should be included in the price with no exceptions. The parents from Parent Trap are way worse than the parents from Home Alone. Jaws must not ever be remade, or retconned, or reimagined, or re-anything. Ever. Tall burgers completely nullify all the benefits of burgers and are an abomination unto cuisine. A good burger is the perfect portable food. It should be edible using only your hands and mouth, without cutlery, and without making too much mess. You should also be able to sample every layer of ingredient in one bite, without dislocating your jaw. What's legal, but if you do it you still look like a psychopath. Entering an elevator full of people and not turning to face the door. I suppose you're all wondering why I've gathered you here today. One of the politicians in our country bit into a hot dog sideways and in the middle, like a sandwich. It was so weird that it was in the newspapers the next day. Slow news day but made him look like a nut job. I was serving a very green, Chinese businessman at the pub and he ordered a burger and after a few seconds of sizing it up, stabbed it in the center with his fork and started eating it like a candy apple. I asked him if he was good, and he shrugged and said sorry. I haven't figured out how to eat these yet. Serious, police, security guards, paramedics, etc. Have you ever been called out only to realize it was a seemingly paranormal incident? What happened? Marine stationed in Japan back in 2010-12. I was military police. One night around 2 to 3 a.m. we hear over the radio, "Ooh. Any units seeing the light over the water south?" It was a Marine air station based on the southern tip of Japan. We had no flights coming in or going out that night. Everyone knew there shouldn't be a light flying over the waters. So about 3 patrol cars met up at the airfield where there was a way better view. Sure as shit there's a light sitting out over the water blinking slowly off and on. Some guys tried to say it was a star, so we had traffic control cameras from dispatch zoom in on it. Turns out it was slowly moving out of the cameras. So while we couldn't tell it was moving, the cameras picked it up. We sat there kind of amazed for an hour before it went away. As we were getting back into the squad car I took a last look at the night sky and saw a small light dart behind some clouds and a movement that didn't make sense. I didn't tell the other guys, just thought there's no way they would believe me. Months later I was running on the seawall and stopped to lay down and catch my breath. Again saw a light, watched it drive into some clouds and then disappear. That was around the time of the tsunami in Fukushima. Super weird. Murder attempt survivors. What happened? 9 years ago, Buddy got jumped at a house party. I jumped in to pull the guy off of him. Attacker ended up pulling out a knife and shanking me in the stomach before fleeing to a getaway vehicle. Police were called. Caught the guy. We were supposed to come into court to point at him and be like he did it, but the day before he pleaded guilty. No idea what happened to the guy after that or what his punishment was, but he probably didn't learn anything from the situation. Me? I feel completely fine. Sometimes I forget that I even got stabbed. I feel a little uneasy whenever someone has a knife in their hand and it's not dinner time, but that's about it as far as trauma goes. Murder attempt survivors. What happened? My drunk ex-husband came home in the middle of the night while I was sleeping. He was pissed off at me for some unknown reason and got on top of me in bed and strangled me to the point where he thought he had killed me. When I came to, he was sitting on the side of the bed crying. He had choked me so badly that I had broken blood vessels in my eyes. I never spent another night under the same roof as him and we divorced soon after. Edit. Thank you for all the kind words and the awards. I never expected my story to generate so much attention. This incident happened over 25 years ago. I moved on, got some therapy and I'm doing well now. I began working as a domestic violence advocate many years after my incident, and helping others helped me to heal. To all those that also shared their stories, I'm sorry for your suffering. If you are currently experiencing DV of any kind, consider reaching out to the National Domestic Violence Hotline at 1-800-799-SAFE, or your local advocacy group. There's a lot of people out there that do care and are willing to help. Reaching out is hard, I know, but it can be life-changing. People with street smarts. What is your most street tip? I don't know if this is street smarts, but so many people lack situational awareness. By that I mean they are not being fully aware of their surroundings, which has been made even worse with phones and headphones. If you sense anything dodgy, trust that instinct and do something about it. I'd rather cross the street and look paranoid than get mugged. Or even just run. This group of guys were following close behind me when I was walking home from the pub alone. They could have just been walking the same way, but as soon as I hit a corner I sprinted 100 meters or so and didn't see them again. I don't care how strong you are losing 99% of the time versus 3 people. I was mugged when I was 18. I was stupid and walking around at like 3 a.m. with headphones blaring. All I remember is something hit me hard in the back of the head and I went down. I was small too, about 100 pounds. My headphones fell out and I felt these hands searching my torso, as well as someone on top of me. I immediately just started screaming at the top of my lungs and writhing and moving around as much as possible. We were in a residential area, so someone would have heard me eventually, hopefully. I kept doing that and the person got up, and so did I. That is when I screamed at the guy and started to chase him down the street in flip-flops. He ran. Probably not the smartest move. Scariest experience ever. I do not do that anymore and I never walk late unless I have to. I am always aware and never stop to talk to anyone either. I learned my lesson. He didn't manage to take anything though.